There's no hiding how bad the beginning of 2022 was for the Disney Cars Mattel diecast line. As I've said a billion times, it took 5 cases just to get a new variant, and even that was Jay with VR headset, a so-so release. It took even a few more cases to get our first new character in Keith Cone. But after that, man, it was amazing. I mean, they absolutely flipped the script. The main line was bipolar because it turned into one of the best we've seen ever, with a lot of highly anticipated re-releases being Race Damage the King, they uncanceled Bertha Butters Wagon, and 2 next gens that were approaching probably the top 2 rarest next gens that they had previously released. They released again. Of course, the number 1 being Flipped Over, who was previously only available in the Next Gen Racers 4-pack, so they re-released him from Thailand and gave him a new expression. And then we have George Nguyen here, who was only available in a Walmart 5-pack that had dried up, become pretty rare. Not as rare as Flipped Over, but I mean, when you take Next Gens into account, not factoring in like Bobby Road Tester, Lane Locke from the stock cars, they are probably, or they were, the 2 rarest Piston Cup Next Gens. And so yeah, guys, welcome back to the 12 Days of Christmas. Today we have the Thailand variant of George Nguyen. I didn't review him previously because he wasn't, as strikingly different, as Flipped Over was, but it absolutely fits in for a 12 Days of Christmas episode. The suggesters are, we have a lot today. The cartoon Manist. Thank you very much. We have NotSpani. Spani. Thank you as well. Fernando Valadez. Thank you as well. And then Tom Sloan requested the Thailand variant of Hall Ingas, and I actually originally intended to do that one, but I realized I didn't have one available to open, so I wanted to give him a shout anyways because, I don't know, it just felt right to do so. And of course, GetMeCollecitlbes. Check out his eBay store linked in the description below. They have a lot of good stuff for sale right now. Definitely worth a look. So yeah, guys, we're going to dive right in. This is our first unboxing of the 12 Days of Christmas, which is pretty cool. I always like the art. We actually got a first glimpse of it on the Tomica release of him several years ago. So it's not the first time we've seen his artwork, but it looks really good and stands out on the Red Riders packaging. I think he was included, so in case K, and then he got one more release in like maybe L, I think. Yeah, I think he was in L. Flipped Over was only in K though. But yeah, that was the first case with On the Road stuff. So he was sharing, the spotlight with Colin Borev, Tractor Retire, and then yeah, the On the Road stuff being Road Trip McQueen, Road Trip Mater, who's just regular Mater, and Speed Demon. As seen in Cars 3, Paul Conrev, you have there. Barry DePedal. Flipped Over, of course. Now, Barry DePedal was only in the case J. That was super elusive and not really released in the US. Paul Conrev was in a couple cases, and he's back in 2023. You have Jambalaya Chimichanga, The King, Murray Clutchburn from Cars 1, so that shouldn't be here. And then Jackson Storm, everybody's favorite. All right, I'll be right back with GNW, a pretty weird name, all opened up. And I think the first time we actually got hint of his name was the Tomica release, because when Mattel released him, they just said like Next Gen Leakless, which was pretty lame. All right, here he is out of the package, looking really good and shiny, which is what I expect from these Thailand variants. That is the main difference, really with everything that you can count on, is that the Thailand versions are going to be glossier. Even though the other ones are glossy, they just aren't as shiny. They aren't like caked in this almost amber type substance. It just looks like you could touch it and it would shatter. Like that's how just shimmering it is, glistening, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's glistening, just like the garland on your tree. But yeah, there was George Nguyen from Cars 3. Obviously didn't speak or anything like that, but certainly has not escaped the grasps of Mattel because they really do like him. You know, he's actually one of the most released next gens in terms of other variants, believe it or not. As you know, there are technically 3 distinct versions of him. You have your regular George Newman, and then you have your XRS Mud Racer, and you have your XRS Drag Racer, which is a lot more. It's pretty much 3 times more than most next gens can say. I mean, just take a look at the ones recently released. You know, Will Rush, Zero, besides the regular one, Nick Shift, Mafast Fong, Jim Reverick, all those guys, they just have their regular versions. And same thing even with Flipped Over. You'd think that, oh, I mean, all these kind of got released around the same time, some of the later next gens to be released, but George Newman, they went absolutely berserk with. And so, yeah, we'll kind of revisit these in a little bit, but I mainly want to focus on the Thailand versus China comparison, which is going to extract some of your attention because they are quite similar. Surprisingly, these probably are some of the most similar variants I've seen. But right off the bat, you can kind of tell that the expression's different. And that is mainly due to the fact that this eyelid curls up like way more. Like, look at that. This one just cuts over more, so it makes it look like he's a little bit more, you know, intense. He's kind of squinting a little bit more, whereas this one gives more of a confused, just kind of apprehensive look. But both of their models are the same. They both kind of have this black gradient, I should say, on their front bumper right below the vents there. The Thailand grille is a little bit thicker. It's not as thin going across. The logos are very similar, but on the Thailand version, the splatter is less gold. It's a little bit browner, I would say. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of that. I think it looks better on the Chinese version. Getting to the rims, so the Chinese version's on top, Thailand on the bottom. You can see that the Thailand version has a little bit, I don't know, charcoaly rims. They're grayish. These look a little bit more silvery, but very similar. Obviously, the Thailand rims always are like thicker like that. They aren't as slim like the Chinese ones. Look at that, guys. Is that like a slit? You see that right there? My poor George has an absolute cut right there. I have never seen anything like that before. Like, you could run your finger, you could feel that. That is like an absolute, like he got sliced. Wow. That is something I've never seen before on a diecast. Wow, all right. Now, George is super weird because he doesn't have any contingency sponsors, which I'm pretty sure goes all the way back to the movie, which then, in fact, it's Mattel, or no, it's Disney and Pixar's fault. But he's got the gray bottom bumper there, which on the Chinese version, it's a little bit lighter gray. You have 52, you have leakless. Again, I like how the logo looks better on the Chinese version than it does here. 52 doesn't look as sharp. There's the gas cap. The gas cap probably looks a little bit better on the Thailand version. It just looks indented a little bit more. This looks a little bit too flat with the surface of the car. 52 roof flaps. Ooh, kind of looks a little different here to me. Oh yeah, you guys know what the very minuscule difference is? There's a black line right there on top of the 52, but it's not on the Chinese version. So that's kind of interesting. Both of them do have the window bars. Let's take a look at their spoilers here. So you have the same type of thing. This is the Chinese version, and the logo just stands out better, like it's a better yellow. And it pops off of the black splotch nicely. And here is the bumper. So on the Thailand version, the Rookie Racing stripes are more orange than yellow. That's a pretty big difference. See the leakless decal there? The leak and the list, the leathers of that really blend together, and it's almost not readable unless you knew what it said. Like, if it's my first time seeing that, maybe it's like Leah Lace, Leah Lass. I can't really tell what that says. But here, it's very fine, a very fine, precise font that you could read. So far, I know I'm really dogging on the Chinese or the Thailand version, but yeah, I am honestly not really vibing with it. R22A means he was made during the 22nd week of 2022 at the A factory in Thailand. Look how weird like this bumper is melded together. You can see like the crack all the way down. That is so odd. And of course you have the slit right there as well. Chinese version just looking a little bit fresher. Made on the 122nd day. Wow, that's cool. The 122nd day versus the 22nd week. But this is dating back to 2019, I guess then. Yeah, 2019. Yeah, so they released him in the latter half of 2019 and immediately followed that up with the XRS version almost simultaneously, actually. And they still didn't name him, though, with the XRS version, which is pretty weird. And I'm referring to the Mud Racer version, by the way, that preceded the Rocket Racers. I do like the expression on the Mud Racer here. He's got a little bit more of a smile, but the eyes are quite similar. I also like the yellow rims. But yeah, I've reviewed these guys before, so definitely check out my reviews of them on my channel. Search out Rocket Racers. I hate the eyes on this, but this one's now made in Vietnam, adding a whole new player into the equation. I mean, those eyes are just, ugh. Looks like he's not even there. Looks like he's in the zone and somewhere else. But yeah, the decals look pretty good though. And at this point, they did name him, as you could see, XRS/GN-W. Yeah, so, but we already knew that his name was George Nguyen from the Tomica version. It's so weird, you know, like Tomica, the interplay between Tomica and Mattel sometimes is fascinating. I mean, Tomica released Jim Reverick before Mattel did theirs by like 2 years, probably even more than that. So I got that one, and that's how we found out his name was Jim Reverick, although I think it was slightly different because the translation from Japanese wasn't exact. But George Nguyen then, you know, of course we discerned his name, but there's no reason to really buy him from Tomica because Mattel already did theirs. So yeah, it's kind of this whole ordeal. But if you guys remember, I made this whole video in like 2020 in the latter half of the year that it was scams because I found this in one of the 5-packs in a store, which is blatantly, you know, it's not the Chinese version, not the Thailand version. It was actually a literally handmade custom of George Nguyen, and it actually is really, really good. Like, I don't know who made this custom. If you're watching, please reach out. I mean, you bought the pack, you took the real one, you put your custom in it, and you returned it, so that's illegal. But on the bright side of that, like, you clearly are very talented because this custom is phenomenal. And I know you're not Jim Scavenger. I know you're not Shane Cooper. I know you're not Jared Darrow. So I don't know like what customizer it is. It's somebody who doesn't sell publicly or doesn't really sell at all. But you didn't do a great job of like connecting him because the base is about to fall off. But yeah, I kept it. And, you know, it created for a nice video. I remember I was like, I got scammed. And everyone was like, oh my God. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I do think, you know, I don't know, it just seems a little weird to me that they released the flipped over variant at the same time, and it's just way better. It has a cooler color, I think. It's better color than the original. It's got a new expression. And even some of the variants, you know, like with Herb Kerbler here, let me grab the Thailand Herb. But yeah, the Chinese version is right in front of you, and then I just got the Thailand version from the accessory pack. And there's a lot to love about the Thailand one here, but I don't know, I really am not a fan of the Thailand George Nguyen. And obviously there's a lot of people who have reason to buy it, but if you aren't really into the whole variant thing, yeah, I think it's one of the lesser variants to pass on. This Thailand Claude Scruggs here is way cooler in terms of a variant. Not going to say he's better than the Chinese Claude, but certainly more of a reason to buy him because the expression's quite a bit different. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you prefer the Thailand version of George or the Chinese version of him? I totally get it if you like the Thailand version, but yeah, I just not really vibing with it myself. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 9. Wow, we're flying through this series. Bye now.